Hey, good morning, guys. Today's project, we're going to be changing the oil and fuel filters on the truck. I did a trip the other day up to upstate Maine. Upstate New York. About an 11-hour ride. So that brought me over the mileage that I usually change the oil. I usually do it every 5,000, so about 100 miles over. Not a big deal, but we're going to go ahead and get the fluids and filters changed out and show you how we do it. Alright, so what we're going to use is the Rotella T415W40. I usually run T6. They didn't have any this time, so I'm going to go with the T4. These are the 2.5 gallon jugs, so it usually takes like 15 quarts. I got the additional oil filter from Sinister Diesel, so it runs about 16. So that'll be fine. And then we have the factory Ford oil filter. We have a new drain plug washer, and we have the fuel filter kit. So the drain plug washer, the part number is 3 Charlie 3 Zebra 6734 Alpha Alpha 1 X-ray. The oil filter is an FL 2016 or a 3 Charlie 3 Zebra 6731 Alpha Alpha, and the fuel filters are a FD 4616 or a 3 Charlie 3 Zebra 9 Nancy 184 Charlie Bravo. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using. And first thing is, we got to get the old oil filter out. Okay, because I have a Sinister Diesel set up, first we got to take off this oil line here. Get out of the way. And then we got to get this cap off next. Let this sit for a second and drain out. Alright, let's just take this out of here. Alright, next thing I want to do is just kind of clean this up a little bit. Okay, then we're going to grab your new filter. So this side up, it snaps into the cover. Okay. And then there's an O-ring on here. If you want to peel this off. Put the new O-ring on there. It's sitting in the groove all the way around. Alright. And I like to just put a little bit of oil on there just so it doesn't stick when going in. Okay, get the new filter ready to go. Right down in there. Alright, I'm going to leave that loose for now, because what I like to do is when I fill the oil up, I like to put some oil in with the filter, just so that it's already some there to get pumping. So we're going to leave that like that for now, and we'll get underneath and get the oil drain. Okay, so we're underneath here, and the drain plug is a 3/4 inch bolt, so we'll take that out and get the oil draining. Okay, get the oil draining out. Just make sure you get a big enough bucket. Alright, so these do have a magnetic drain plug, which is nice. It'll capture any metal shavings that happen to fall into the pan. Mine was nice and clean, so that's good. And you want to just make sure you put your new washer on there before you reinstall the plug. Okay, so we're just about done draining here, so I'm going to go ahead and reinstall that. Okay, so fortunately for me, I work at a dealership, so I have a way of disposing my oil. So because it's a lot of oil, I basically fill up one of these 5-gallon buckets, just bring it in and dump it out at work. Okay, so she holds about 15 quarts, 16 with the extra filter on there. I'm not going to change the filter this time, I just changed it last time. So this is a 2.5 gallon, which means that is like 10 quarts. So let me start by putting this gallon in, or this jug in, and we'll see how much more we need. These jugs too are good for your waste oil. Fill these up and just dump them out. Okay, so I just added some oil into where the filter is. I'm going to put the cover back on. Once it seats, just give it a little snug. And then, very important, make sure you put your oil line back on. Because if you start it with this oil line disconnected, you're going to have one hell of a mess. Ask me how I know. Okay, I'm just going to finish topping off the oil and then we'll fire it up. Okay, let's start her up and let her run for a minute. Let's take a look at the oil here, see what it looks like. looks like maybe another half a quart. Alright, just put another half a quart in there. Let's see how she looks now. Alright, she's right on the full mark. I'll just double check it one more time, just be sure. Yep, she's full. Okay, now's a good time to check your other fluids. I can see my coolant's just a little bit on the low side, so I'm going to put some in there. Brake fluid looks good. Filled up the washer fluid, power steering's good. So I'm just going to top off the coolant and then we'll get started on the fuel filters. Okay, the other things I like to check is, check your battery terminals, make sure there's no corrosion on them. Check your belt, which I just replaced, so that's fine. You just want to make sure everything's on here good and tight and secure. No leaks anywhere. So I guess we're good. Alright, so the fuel filter, there's one of them here, and then there's one down below on the rail, so we'll go ahead and start on those. Okay, so here's what we're going to need. We got a 1/2-inch ratchet. We have a 36mm socket. We have a 7/32 Allen key. You got the filter for up top, the filter for down the bottom. This has the mesh on it, which separates the water. We have the 2 new O-rings. And then this is going to tell you the torque specs. So the one that goes up top is like 10 foot-pounds. The one on the bottom is 18.5. Alright, so we'll crawl underneath and get that one out. Okay, so I put the truck on ramps just because it gives me a lot more room to crawl under here. Basically, you look up on the fuel rail and you will see right here is where the filter goes. This plug right here, you use the Allen key to take that out. It's your water separator. That'll drain all your water out. And then you take this cap off here to get to your filter. So let me get those loosened up. Okay, so took the plug out of there. I'm just going to let it drain out any water. There is a little bit of fuel that comes out, so be aware of that. Make sure you have a pan underneath to catch all this. So while it's dripping out, we're going to go ahead and take the cap off. Okay, so you want to just kind of reach up in there, take the cap off, have to get it loose. Let that drip out for a sec. Slip the cover out this way. Okay, now you get the filter in here. Put that out. Oop. It's a little messy. Okay, there's the old filter. Oh, not too bad. Alright, now we'll just get the new one fitted in there. Make sure you replace the O-ring on the cover before you put it back in. Okay, the other thing, if you look at your filter, there is a little bleed hole, and I believe that needs to go up. So you get that little notch right there. So when you put it in, you can see that little notch hits something inside, so you know it's in the right spot. Alright, we're just going to replace the O-ring, lubricate the O-ring, and then put the cover back on. Okay, we're just going to put the new filter in there, that little gasket,
Get the cover back on, and then we'll have to tighten that up, and then just put that plug back in where the water separator is. One time my light came on saying water and fuel, and what it was there was so much gunk built up in there. You can see actually there's a little bit of crud that came off of there. There was so much gunk in there that it was messing with the sensor. So what I'll do sometimes is just take some brake cleaner and spray it in there, and you'll see a bunch of junk come out, and that'll keep that light from coming on about the water and the fuel. I'm going to spray in here just so you can see this. All that brown rusty stuff coming out. So not a bad idea to clean that out. It's coming out clear now, so that's good. So yeah, when you drain your water out, it's probably not a bad idea to clean that out, just to get all that rust and crap out of there. Alright, we're going to put that plug back in, and then we'll go up top and do the other filter. Okay, for the top filter, we're going to use a 1/2-inch drive with an extension. It's right in the cap. Filter out. Okay, and we have an O-ring on here we need to replace. Take that off. New one on. And make sure it's seated properly. And put just a little bit of diesel on there just to lubricate it. Put the filter in this way. There's two different ways. Put it in this way. Okay, just make sure you get it started correctly. You don't want to cross-thread it, obviously. Okay, snug it down. Okay, now, what we need to do is bleed the system out. Okay, so what you want to do is turn the key on, let it cycle for 30 seconds. Shut it off, do it again. You want to do that 6 times. That's going to purge the air out. Once you have the air out, then hopefully you should start right up. So let's take a look here.
Okay, so everything looks good. She started right up. I did have a problem one time when I did the fuel filters, that it cranked and didn't want to fire up, and it was still airbound. What I had to do was actually take the cap off the top filter, turn the key on, and watch as the air bubbles bled out. And then once it did that a few times, I put it back on and it started okay. But this time, you know, it worked fine. So now we get new oil, new filter, new fuel filters, both of them. I do those every other oil change, so every 10,000 miles, change the oil every 5,000. It's just going to help with the longevity of the engine. You know, the oil comes out clean, so I know it's in good shape. You know, I would spray out the fuel filter housing where the water separator is. You can see all the rust and crap that came out of there. The first time I took it out, I mean, a bunch of crap came out of it. I was like, holy crap. So that's a good idea. And yeah, that's about it. So she's good for another 5,000 miles. She's running great. I mean, went all the way to upstate New York with it, 11-hour round trip, and she ran beautiful, no problems at all. So I'm happy with her. She's doing good, and just going to keep on maintaining her, keep her running. Alright guys, if you liked the video, give a thumbs up, give a like, and share, and leave any comments, and I'll catch you on the next one.